Hey, it's Travis with Neon Blue. In this edition of Making an Impact, I'm going to give you 3 steps that you can use today to ensure your brand success. Before we begin, a little bit about Neon Blue. Neon Blue is a US based consulting firm that specializes in providing as a service providers with effective strategic brand management processes and automation services that allow them to truly scale without the risk. First and foremost, before we begin, I would definitely like to take a moment to thank you for stopping by and listening to today's session. Just a tad bit of housekeeping before we begin. As always, feel free to share the recording and keep the conversation going in the comment section below. If you have any questions, feel free to submit them to info@neonblueconsulting.com. We do ask that you place the title of the video in the summary as that helps us filter through, and we do try our best to respond to all inquiries within 36 hours. Lastly, if you have a suggestion for a video or a series, kind of the same thing, submit those as well to info@neonblueconsulting.com. What we try to do is we try to tab and take a survey of how many requests we get based on a particular topic. And based on what the market says, we go ahead and try to create material around that to help you guys answer some of those questions that you're probably asking yourselves throughout on a day to day, but just really don't know where to find the answer for. A little bit about myself. I've worked in the IT industry for a little under 15 years. I hold both an undergraduate and master's degree in the field, and that kind of coincides with a lot of my professional experience as well. I started in IT, like many others, as a desktop support technician. Eventually became a sysadmin for a small business out of Georgia that specialized in maintaining and designing exotic aquariums. Once I was done with that, I spent some time working in higher education, mostly in sales and marketing, uh, optimizing and learning how that whole machine works in that regard. And then lastly, the last portion of my career was spent working over for product and marketing and management for several SaaS-based solutions, specifically designed to help some 20,000 managed service providers worldwide. And since roughly 2018, I've been fortunate enough to lead the team here at Neon Blue, and that kind of brings me to kind of where we are today. Enough about me though. Let's kind of jump into the meat of the topic today, right? And for today's session, we want to discuss 3 very simple but profound steps that you can take that will allow you to take your service offerings to that next level. And to understand that, we must first recognize and accept one very simple concept. And that is that the heartbeat of your business essentially lies in effective marketing and branding. Point blank, period. There really is no way around it. And this is not to take away or minimize the importance of any other uh, process within your business, not to minimize or diminish automation or developing processes or documentation or anything along those lines. Let's be clear on that. However, we are saying that if you wish to ensure that your business is able to grow and be profitable, you need to have consistent lead generation. That's just marketing 101. And an ability to retain clients as well. And again, marketing does play an important role in that function as well. And for those of you who have never heard this before, it costs way more to acquire a new client than it does to just keep one. And marketing plays a role in both of those spectrums. And we'll touch some more of that in later sessions as well. Interesting statistic that a lot of people do not know who are actually in business and working in their day to day is 49% of MSP owners actually handle the marketing efforts within their organization. And the interesting thing about that, of that 49%, half of those guys really don't know if their marketing efforts have any effect or impact on what it is that they're doing. The other half, they believe that there is some kind of positive impact to their efforts. They just don't have a way to actually measure the results. And that kind of puts us in a really interesting situation where you know the importance of marketing, you're not really sure where to begin. And then on the other side, you're doing something, but you're not really sure if it's worthwhile. So are you burning a candle in the sun, or is this actually driving some worthwhile revenue to your business? Well, first thing that we want to do is when it comes to ensuring your brand success is develop a strategy. Warren Buffett, one of the probably most prolific businessmen of all time, is credited with saying that any fool with a plan can beat any genius without one. And there's a reason for that. Less than half of small businesses, including MSPs, employ any form of digital marketing, and that includes email marketing, content, video, social. The fact is, many of you, again, don't know where to begin and opt to focus on other items in your business instead of addressing the elephant in the room, which is you need to market your business. And you can start with developing a very simple strategy and develop it as you go along. But the important thing is that you actually develop one. You may not necessarily be an expert in it, but having a simple process in place that you can review, build upon, and measure can have a significant impact on your day-to-day operations. And one simple thing that you can go about doing this is just creating a content calendar over a simple 5-day period. Figure out one simple strategy. It could be a how-to topic, and every other day you develop a new process or step within that how-to series. Either which way, just start someplace. Eventually, you can scale that process out and eventually start putting metrics and KPIs around that to really start seeing where you can start doubling down on these efforts. Next important thing, if you're an MSP, you should know this already, so this should not sound like anything new, but you need to track your time. And over my time of working with as a service providers, many of you still do not track enough of your time. You're tracking it, but you're still not tracking enough of it. In fact, many said that, when it comes to actually finding the time and the resources to effectively market is actually probably one of their greatest issues. And a lot of that has to do because you're not tracking enough of your time. So you can't really identify where you have time to spend. So whenever you develop your strategy and you start taking action towards this particular uh, activity, immediately start tracking your time. It's going to allow you to be more productive at unprecedented levels later on, especially when you're able to analyze that data and actually calculate an ROI on that. That way you can go back later and say, you know what, it only took me an hour to produce this piece of content or produce this particular strategy, but wow, I got 3 clients out of that. That in and of itself is a great tactic to go ahead and double down until you start seeing that ROI start to consume itself and turn negative, right? Another way to go about doing this, if you're really not sure where to track your time or how exactly you're going to be able to allocate time to do this, is outsource it to a partner. And that's definitely different than just paying a firm to market for you. We can dive in that and more in a later series, but the idea is you want to partner with somebody that understands your niche, understands the market that you're trying to get into, understands what unique differentiations are there that separate you from the competition, and more importantly, try to find other ways to help you deliver that hot qualified marketing lead over to your sales team so that they can quickly deliver that service and solution to them. And lastly, and again, I believe we mentioned this earlier, something that you should definitely not overlook is the power of automation. Find the items that you find yourself doing consistently and maybe time consuming, and find somebody that can help you automate that, or find a solution that's going to allow you to automate that. The more ways that you can find ways to automate things for you will allow you to invest time in other items that can further drive revenue and expand operations within your business. And there are a lot of different tools that you can use from a marketing and content generation standpoint that can make designing content infinitely easier, and more importantly, help scheduling and delivering that content that much easier as well. And the other thing that a lot of MSPs or as a service providers don't necessarily understand is, although that is important to be able to quickly develop the content, quickly deliver it, it's also going to be equally as important to be able to take that information and quickly deliver it to somebody that can take an action item to it via create a quote, uh, make a phone call, send an email, create a personalized video to engage with the prospect. The quicker you can do these things, the better you stand a chance of actually closing those deals and becoming more profitable within your market. With that being said, as always, we do like to give you guys 3 simple takeaways from the session. So if you got nothing from anything that we discussed earlier, let's go ahead and make sure that we understand this. It's important that you start today. Nothing that I went over today should necessarily be considered new information to anybody that's within the as a service market or anybody that's an SMB entrepreneur just getting ready to start. If it is, don't worry, it's not rocket science either. Creating a plan should not be complicated. There are plenty of strategies that you can use out there to get started. The important thing is that you start. Just start. You can check out the resources page on our site for some helpful infographics or tips if you're not really sure where to begin. Remember, the reason why you're actually taking these steps is you need to start making the effort to track your time, to start creating these items so that you can start getting more market traction and more market revenue. Differentiate yourselves from the competition and ultimately provide yourself and your team with the means to be successful long term. And if you're doing something yourself and you find you or anybody on your team are spending quite a bit of time doing one particular task repeatedly, find a way to automate that. There are definitely ways that you can automate things. Some people develop things in house, some people pay for a solution, some people will look for an automation specialist. It doesn't matter how you do it. Find a way to automate the things that you are spending the vast majority of your day to day doing. You can use your talents someplace else. Trust me. Uh, with that being said, evolution is constant, and our aim is to help you stay in the forefront. So be on the lookout for more content designed from us to help you scale without the risk. In the meantime, if you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to sign up for your free consultation today at neonblueconsulting.com. Until next time, continue scaling without the risk.